Hey, what's up guys? This year Dirty and I backpacked over 1,000 miles and I wore nothing but sandals. We went on 2 through hikes this year. The first was the muddy, rocky, Rudy long trail in Vermont, and that took us a month. And the second hike was the very remote Great Divide Trail along the Canadian Rockies, and that took us 45 days. I had a really interesting and good experience backpacking in sandals, and I wanted to make a video just showing some of the things that I learned and some of the mistakes I made while backpacking in 2 pretty brutal mountain terrains. 100 years ago, it would be crazy to wear anything but boots. And now it seems like a lot of people are wearing trail runners out in the backcountry. And maybe, just maybe, sandals are the footwear of the future.
You like it?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
After 1,000 miles, I noticed some pretty unique benefits to backpacking in sandals compared to boots or trail runners. The biggest benefit, number one, not even close, probably the biggest reason why it's so hard to switch back to shoes is because of how well the sandals handled wet trail conditions. So no matter how wet it was on the trail, these sandals gripped really well. This Vibram outer sole is really durable and grippy, whereas Dirty had some problems with her trail runners slipping around on different trails or trying to climb up slick rock. These sandals grip really well to rock, and they grip really well when it's wet. The sandals were also super convenient when the trail was wet the entire day. On both the long trail and the Great Divide Trail, it was almost impossible to keep your feet dry. But when I was wearing the sandals, I would cross creeks or streams or rivers, and then 10 minutes later, they would dry. Instead of having wet socks with a lot of sand or rocks in them, causing blisters throughout the day. So with the sandals, you don't have to take off your shoes each time you cross the creek. You don't have to worry about having enough dry socks for your trip. And probably the most unexpected benefit is your feet don't smell like stinky cheese at the end of the day. So if your upcoming trip involves terrain where your feet are going to be wet a lot of the day, sandals might be a good choice to let your feet breathe more and hopefully prevent blisters. The second benefit is a really underrated benefit and one that I've come to really appreciate over time. And that's that hiking in sandals really does strengthen your foot. I'm not a physical therapist by any means, just a guy who wears sandals. But your toe flexion in a boot is a lot more limited and they don't build that strength over time. Whereas a sandal really forces you to dig into the footbed and build those micro muscles that also have a benefit up your body, through your legs, into your hips, and a lot of other places that you might not even expect. When you're hiking, especially carrying weight, backpacking with sandals, you really are engaging your toe a lot into the footbed. You're really having to dig all 5 of your toes into the footbed on uphills, downhills, uneven terrain as a way to stay balanced and to stay strong through these environments. In my opinion, boots lead to weak feet and problems elsewhere, and sandals lead to stronger feet and a more healthy, more dynamic range of motion. So let's be real. I don't want to pull the wool over everyone's eyes and act like sandals are some magic cure for everything and they're the greatest thing in the world. Every footwear has its drawbacks and sandals are no exception. But before I talk about the one really problematic thing I encountered on the GDT, that's insane.
What was that?
That was a tree falling.
You're kidding.
I've never seen that. That was sick. So before I talk about the one pretty problematic thing that I experienced on the GDT, let's first debunk a couple of the common misconceptions or concerns people have about backpacking in sandals. The first concern, and it is very reasonable, is that because sandals are more exposed, you are going to break every bone in your foot. There's gonna be rocks just attacking you from all sides, and your feet are totally not safe, you're totally vulnerable, and you're gonna end up being airlifted out of the mountains. And full transparency, I did stub my toe a couple times on the GDT. The last of which was very, very painful. I knew I didn't break it, but I also knew that it was gonna hurt the rest of the day. But interestingly enough, it wasn't the big toe in all these cases, it was the smaller toes. And that's because the sandal that I was wearing was a size too small. The sandal that I had first felt really good. It felt really good around my foot, but my pinky toe was falling off the edge of the sandal. The footbed just wasn't big enough. So when I got new sandals, I sized up and I made sure that there was a bumper around all of my toes rather than just my big toe. A quick shout out, if you have a super funky or unique foot, Adam and his family at Deliberate Life Designs make fully customizable sandals, and his sandals tend to have a lot of material past the toe to help with that bumper. Adam and his family helped us out a lot on the long trail, so I thought I'd give a quick shout out. And the sandals he's making right now are very unique and great for all different activities. Another potential concern that people have with backpacking sandals is that this nylon cord or this toe divider is going to cause blisters or cause problems. There is a real concern that when these sandals come out of the box, this nylon cord is pretty firm, but it does soften over time. And I think it softened for me a little bit quicker because we were crossing so much water. But the bigger concern with all this and the way to address it is that you need to wear your sandals a little bit looser than you think. There's this tendency for us to really pull down on our footwear to make it really tight and secure, but you actually need to do the opposite with the sandals. You need to adjust them so that it almost feels like your heel is floating and your toes are floating. For me personally, my heel doesn't have a lot of rubbing on the back, and it doesn't have a lot of rubbing here at all. My foot just feels like it's snug enough to stay in, but it's not too tight to where I don't feel that floating feeling. These Bedrock sandals have a lot of adjustable points to them that you can find the exact right fit for yourself. So the big problem that I had on the GDT, I like to call the crack. On the bottom of my foot, the toe pad specifically, I developed a really deep and long skin crack, mostly due to my own negligence. On about the second week of the GDT, we had a really long 7-day stretch, and I was just letting my feet get really dirty and really dry throughout that whole time, and my skin started cracking. Once we got to town, Dirty bought me some foot balm, and I had never used something like that before, but it was really, really helpful. The brand that I used was called Moss Boss, and it was really good. It was very packable, and I would rub that on my feet each night, put on my socks, and that really helped my feet feel a lot healthier in the morning. The really big crack didn't go away because we were hiking so much, but with the extra cleaning at night and the foot balm, I had no other problems the rest of the trip. You could also do a very logical thing, and that is wear socks while you're hiking. I probably wore socks 30% of the time, barefoot 70%, just because I like the feeling of being barefoot. But socks really help, especially if you're in terrain that's very sandy or very dirty. The first option is the Injinji toe socks, or any type of toe sock. And the other option for socks is one that I like to call the claw. And it has space for your big toe, and then all your other toes hang out here. And they are a little bit thicker fabric, so they're meant to be so you can wear your Bedrocks into the shoulder season. These are the two options, and they would really probably cut down on the amount of cracking that you would have throughout a long hike. I recommend carrying a couple of them and switching between these and barefoot whenever it makes sense. There's 3 people who come to mind that I think would really benefit from sandals. The first is if your next backpacking trip is in an area with a lot of water or you can't keep your feet dry. These sandals are a really good way to walk through that water and then dry really quickly afterwards. You don't have to deal with wet socks throughout the day and the blisters that come with that. The second type of person is someone that maybe has had a lot of foot pain or knee or Achilles pain and just can't seem to find the right solution to it. Sandals do force you to engage with your toes and those micro muscles in your foot. You are more intentional and you walk at a slower pace, but this prevents some of the overuse injuries that happens when people have trail runners on with all that cushion and they're able to walk more throughout the day, maybe at a slightly faster pace, but that leads to those overuse injuries over time. The third person is someone who has worn zero drop shoes before and has really enjoyed it, but they're just looking for a different experience. Plus, Bedrocks just last longer. I had a pair of Ultra Olympuses that busted out after 250 miles, whereas the Bedrocks can go easily 500, 600, 700, 800 miles. They're just that beefy of a shoe. This video is not sponsored by Bedrock or anyone. I just wanted to share with people my experience because I had such a good one with the sandals. It really made hiking like so much more fun and engaging, and it made it like harder in a sense. It is easier to backpack in shoes. That's a pretty obvious fact, but the sandals provide this whole different unique experience where you are just that much more present with your walking. And I just want to make a video to encourage people who are looking to incorporate sandals into their life. Even if you're not going backpacking, I think a high performance sandal like the Bedrocks or Adam's sandals from Deliberate Life just make walking really fun. Your foot feels a lot stronger over time, and it's just more of an engaging experience. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Dirty and I are back in Colorado. We have no snow yet. Before coming out here, we were exploring all throughout southern Utah, trying to find some caves and arches and petroglyphs, pictographs. Some more of those videos are going to be coming out on this channel. And we will eventually, later this winter, be sifting through all the Great Divide Trail footage and putting together a series for that. You've seen all this B-roll throughout this video, and it's just like spectacular out in the Canadian Rockies. So we're really excited for that. And be sure to check out the new Utah videos coming out this month as well. Thanks for watching, guys, and happy hiking out there.